In this video, we'll talk about rectangle tops and bottoms. So a rectangle top is simply in an uptrend, an area where you get lots of choppy action, and you could put two trend lines that form a rectangle, and then a breakdown through that. This is also known as distribution. And that's because people who have accumulated a stock previously are distributing it to those who are foolish enough to buy it. This is where the quote-unquote smart money gets out. Just as a rectangle bottom or accumulation. And this isn't to say that accumulation can't happen in other shapes. It's just that that's what this is. It just happens to be in a rectangle. Then a rectangle bottom, we just have the exact opposite. Value hunters come in and take over. So think about what's going on here. You've got a trend and then suddenly you don't. Most of the time, people will tell you that consolidation, which is what that is, leads to continuation. And most of the time that's true until it isn't. And then when it isn't, it becomes a signal that we're going against the previous uptrend and that something has changed. Stop losses are easy. You can either put them on the other side or in the middle, depending on how aggressive you are of the signal box. You're aiming for at least, so if it's $2 high, you're aiming for at least $2 on a breakdown below the support. Quite often, though, to be honest with you, we go much further than that. $2 in this case would be your minimum. So here we have Kellogg, and we had been in an uptrend, and you can see that we ended up forming a rectangle. We broke down, and it was the beginning of something rather negative. You can measure the rectangle, and you can see that we easily hit that and continued to go much further. And in fact, this ended up being like a 4 or 5 to 1 type of situation. So clearly that was an excellent sign. Here you have a rally and then a pullback. This pullback would have had people interested in perhaps trying to pick up Visa. You can see we have this huge rectangle here. We couldn't get to the bottom this last time, and we broke out. We retested it for support and continued to go higher. So this is about as picture perfect as it gets. You would take this from the level of the breakout, and you can see we got there rather quickly. But having said that, what's even more interesting about this one is that if you zoom way out, you see that this is a pullback in what had been an uptrend to begin with. So truthfully, the trade here was to hang on to it. As you can see, we continued to go much, much, much higher. These are great patterns. They don't happen all the time. But basically think of them as a failed consolidation pattern after a move up or down. Remember, failed patterns mean things too.